my god, my legs are dying. That's fucking hard. Right, I think we're in the cloud. I think you've got another maybe kilometre until it drops. So I think lights on. Let's find Sarah and help her up the hill.
In September, we'll be attempting to cycle to all 15 UK national parks in 30 days, in a continuous loop, leaving from our front door.
It'll be a 2,000-mile journey and means cycling up to 70 miles a day, camping the whole time and completely unassisted.
We ain't no pros, so it's going to be bloody hard.
And we decided to call it
Ride for the Wild.
Ride for the Wild.
Ride for the Wild. And we're doing it to show how amazing our natural world is, plus raise money for an awesome rewilding charity in the Scottish Highlands, Trees for Life.
From the first episode, we were only a few weeks into our training. Then, after nearly a year-long break from cycling, we attempted a 450-mile route, cycling 70 miles a day from Skipton to Edinburgh. As you might have guessed, everything went tits up. We ended up injured, really demoralised, and came home after one day.
Definitely overestimated how difficult it's going to be. Underestimated how difficult it's going to be.
From that point, we thought the challenge was absolutely impossible and almost gave up.
Didn't really think there was a hope in hell that we'd make it around. Feeling pretty downbeaten, sorry for ourselves. Then we went back to Cambridge, changed up the gruelling Yorkshire hills for some seriously flat ground, ate up some massive miles, and that gave us just a little glimmer of hope.
So, what's happened over the past few weeks?
Well, as you might have guessed, we have been cycling a hell of a lot.
A hell of a lot.
And we started it all off with a lovely trip to the seaside. Our route would take us 260 miles along the edge of the Yorkshire Dales and into Lancashire. We'd hit the beautiful English coastline, follow it right into the heart of the Lake District, roll through the Cumbrian hills into Kendal, then take on some big climbs in Dent, back into the Dales, then all the way home. By mid-morning we were absolutely flying. But then within 20 miles, disaster struck.
So we're about 15 miles in, and we just heard it sounded almost like a gunshot, and the inner tube has popped.
Not gonna be fixed by a puncture repair kit.
We were really lucky that literally about 50 metres away from where the tyre inner tube blew, there was a bike shop. So we only had to carry, kind of like half wheel the bike for about 5 minutes, and then we got a new inner tube. We got riding again and actually clocked up the miles pretty quickly. We made it to the seaside! Oh yeah! Yeah! Seaside!
We kept on cycling along tarmac, mud, gravel, between hedgerows, sand dunes and bushes. Eventually the sun did make an appearance and we found that beautiful British coastline. By the end of the day, we'd cycled for a good 12 hours.
It's about 8:30. We cycled just under 70 miles. We couldn't find any water, so now we're trying to find a campsite. And the one we just cycled to over a massive hill is not open. Need to do a campsite! And it's by the sea over there. Cheers, guys. So we're packing up for the morning.
In the rain.
It's cold, it's wet, pretty windy. We got 60 miles to do today.
Slowly, we started pulling away from the coastline and heading right into the heart of the lakes. The hills soon came, and man, they were pretty tough, but they took us to some seriously awesome landscapes.
But even with the incredible views, the ride was actually going pretty tough on us. been probably the hardest cycle we've had this year. We got lost loads, couldn't find any water for ages, spent ages, finally got some water, and then spent ages trying to find a place to camp. I don't even know how far we've done.
While camping near farmers' fields is you have nice early tractors in the morning to wake you up.
I've had a few issues because my injury has come back with a vengeance. Also, my gears decided to completely stop working, so it meant that they were fixed in the hardest gear.
Which I couldn't fix. To the point where we thought, we were like, oh well, Sarah's gonna have to go home. Should I go home with her or should I keep cycling?
We can talk about it very lightheartedly now, but at the time it was like, this is
Yeah,
shit.
it is guns drawn.
So it's a difficult day and it's feeling like tough riding, and it does make me think, are we going to be able to do 30 days of it?
It's times like these when we probably crumble if we're on our own. But together, we just always find a way of holding things down and then pushing on through. We powered out of Cumbria and back into the Yorkshire Hills, and continued all the way back to sunny Skipton.
Made it
Not quite.
back to our home straight. Woohoo!
Made it!
Back home, had literally 3 days rest and then headed straight back out the door for a 7-day trip. We're on the first day of our 7-day trip. We got a train from Skipton to Glasgow. It's like a 4.5 hour train. Real easy, good with bikes. Sometimes it can be an absolute nightmare. And now we're actually on the canal pretty much the whole way to Edinburgh.
Have toured around the world. We have walked up to the lip of an active volcano. We've seen sulphur being mined. Josh has even been present to watch a leatherback give birth in the wild, and I don't think I've ever seen him as excited as he is to see the kelpies.
I think they're really good. I'm not sure why Sarah's making this seem so less impressive than it is. Beautiful.
Come in from the darkness, don't let it stay too long. Let go of the ego, it's harder to feel alone. Beyond your defenses, there is a life to hold.
How to celebrate a good day. So day one, I don't actually know how far we did. So we're about 10 miles out from Edinburgh. We just stuck on that one canal the whole day.
So it's so easy for cycling, no navigation, pretty much flat, like a few slight hills, a little detour to the kelpies.
To what?
To the kelpies.
To the kelpies. They blew my mind. But yeah, it's pretty hard pressed for any wild camping. So we found ourselves to a campsite, and it's beautiful, but it's fucking expensive. These two and the campsite, £22. But it does look very nice, so we're not complaining. And in 3 seconds, home is ready. Now for the dinner. So what have we got for dinner?
We have gnocchi with some tofu and some veg and some tomato sauce.
Cooking hack for you fancy buggers buying these big peppers. Slice on one side, slice on the other side, making sure not to slice your fingers, and then perfect quarters. Revolutionary. Starting off day 2. Unfortunately the forecast, which was awesome, is now turned really shit. So it rained all of last night. It's kind of dry this morning, but then the next 2 days, which we got on the coast, are really wet. And then there's a big thunderstorm on Sunday night.
But we have the promise of a portion of chips motivating us to get to the coastline.
On the seaside. We've got like 10 miles to get into Edinburgh, and then we follow the coastline, completely flat coastline, for 200 miles before we hit Newcastle. So our plan is to absolutely hammer that as quickly as we can whilst it's flat, and then maybe we can cut down miles on the later days when it's really hilly and it's going to kill us. We're going left? Yeah, cool.
We're lost in the ice, giving up, out of bounds, breaking bones, telling lies, letting go, letting go.
So we hit the Scottish coastline just outside of Edinburgh, and we got sunshine.
And birds. Seabirds.
Beautiful view. It's just literally like half an hour outside of Edinburgh, and then we just follow the coastline for 200 miles.
And look, it's sunny.
And now we have unlimited power.
As long as there's sunshine.
As long as there's sunshine. And it's charging. Fantastic. This bit's cycling. It's at least 20 minutes this straight uphill, and we're being chased by this horrible looking black cow behind us. And now we're climbed up really high. Just behind us it looks like it's monstrous. So we're now trying to get downhill as quickly as possible. So this is the morning of day 3. We finished off last night super late, like really late, and it got really tough towards the end. I'm just walking around. I think if you can see, we're just camped at the back of this farmer's field behind the woods. But yes, it ended up really hard. We're not sure quite how far we did, because the GPS kept on mucking up, so it's something around 70 miles. But then we dropped, so we just followed the coastline all day, so it's easy navigating. But yeah, just 70 miles seemed like a long way. We were both pooped by the end of it. Going to Newcastle, 69 miles on the road, but cycling I guess is going to be a bit longer. It's fucking cool. We just had probably the most beautiful part of the trip so far, along the coastline, the Northumberland coastline.
Can't even see the wind turbine through the cloud. This is what 2.5 days of map looks like. Beautiful.
Five-star camping breakfast there, courtesy of
Michelin star, mate.
Dude.
That was my left hand, so.
You're an animal.
Yeah, so yesterday was a really tough day. Well, the actual cycling, so we did, again, like the GPS is mucking up, so I can't properly tell, but it was about 70 miles. It was actually a bit hilly, but the cycling was not so bad.
No, it wasn't so bad. There were times that it was a bit tougher than others, but I think we were picking up speed that we didn't realise.
We got later on, about 7 or 8, and we kind of knew we needed to find somewhere for food. And we'd spent the whole day cycling through some like beautiful coastal areas, and then as soon as it got later, we had left that and got into like really industrial areas, and took a small diversion to pick up food for dinner into one of like the sketchiest places I think we've been for a long time. Like people like driving mopeds along the pavements. Nearly got beaten up by the security guard in the Asda for asking where baskets were. We had the food, that was good, but we didn't have anywhere to stay, anywhere close.
Or any water.
And we had no water. So we eventually had to queue up at this bar in this like entertainment complex.
So I had to go in a queue, and I already felt really out of place in my cycling gear amongst all these people who were like dressed up for a Saturday night. And the football was on, so I had to queue for the bar underneath the TV where everyone was watching the football. So it felt almost like I was on stage whilst queuing for the bar. It was very, very uncomfortable.
And this is while there's kids outside trying to steal parts from our bikes, and I'm trying to fend them off. Most people looked at us as though we stuck out like a sore thumb, because everyone there was like really dressed up to be going out, like a lot of like young people, and then there was us.
Covered in mud.
Like stinky, smelly, wheeling our bikes through, looking like we've cycled for like a month on end. Like we're in a UK swamp. Loads of horse shit.
Guess it's time I wake up. This is 7 years old. We've been 7 years cold and now it's time for summer. Walls came down, walls that were holding us in. They've been holding us in without a place to call home.
Sea to sea sign.
And it's all burning down in the fire. Taking us to the edge of hope. Carry me outside. I want daylight.
We've got about 28 miles to do today, and our route is taking us right into this storm, which is ahead, which keeps cracking with thunder and lightning. We're hoping it doesn't bring us into too many like high exposed areas, because I feel like that's a bad idea. We'll see. Storm is coming back towards us, and the route is taking us straight into it. It's starting to like get a bit windier and rainy, so there's a bit of lightning. So we're gonna go shelter under a Tesco's. And wait for it to hopefully chill out a little bit.
Head to toe, waterproofed.
Taking us to the edge of hope. Carry me outside. I want daylight.
Wave 5, so yesterday was a bit of a balls up, so there was the storms for quite a lot of the day, so we spent quite a long time waiting at lower ground for the storms to pass over. The areas we did end up climbing over, I think as soon as we got onto them, we were both very glad that we didn't go onto them, because they're just big exposed, big moorlands where we would have been the highest aerials, I guess. So yeah, so now we're pretty behind schedule, and we've got 2 and a bit days of cycling left, and I don't think it's going to be possible to make up the extra time. So we are rerouting a little bit to cut off a corner and then hopefully get us back home in time.
Oh yeah.
Treating ourselves to a glamping breakfast
Look
there.
at that. Good.
Ooh.
Oh, fuck it. Oh. You did it. How was that? And we're entering Cumbria into the Lake District.
So we made it.
We cycled up Hartside Summit, which is 1,903 feet, and it definitely felt like that.
This is a view.
Try to make this song. Try to make it now, go inside and save us later.
So we just had the best downhill ever. So the last we spoke to you was when we were at the summit, at the summit of the 1,903 feet in the air. It was quite windy and cold.
And the downhill was epic.
But,
Just...
well, we waited at the top for a long while because we got talking to a bloke about running. And then we thought, okay, we really need to get a wiggle on because we've been talking to him for far too long. And then we met this really nice couple who were cycle touring on like off-road bikes doing the coast to coast. So we got to talk to them for even longer. Tent, dinner,
Sushi.
sunset.
We've got to the last evening of our cycle tour.
It's a beautiful evening.
Yeah, it's like the perfect evening to finish on. There's such a beautiful sunset, perfect. And we're in the back corner of this farmer's field, like tucked away nice, out of the way of everything.
So we had a good stretch because our muscles had been aching. Made a really nice campstove dinner.
And I think it made a huge difference actually being able to cook outside, because like we can't sit up properly in the tent, so just any time we're cooking we kind of arch like this. And I think we're both, so tomorrow we've got 60 miles to do, and we know a lot of the route because it's the route back home, and I think we're both cream crackers, is that fair to say?
I think so.
And looking forward to putting our feet up. But yeah, so it's been a tough 5 days, 6 days.
But this evening has really been quite a treat, sort of sitting here watching the sunset. It's very, very still. The only thing you can hear is the odd cow in the surrounding fields.
Curlews flying overhead.
It's so peaceful, and this is... I just think it's such an incredible feeling just to be outside, like, and feel just completely away from like civilization and people.
It's pretty hard to drag yourself out of the tent at 7 in the morning when the forecast is just for heavy rain all day.
Don't forget the thunderstorms.
So we're back in the Yorkshire Dales, which is our home national park. And I think always on these trips we get back and feel how fortunate we are to live somewhere like this. It's bloody beautiful.
Jammy wheels to help our wheels go round.
Oh. Come on. Come on, last bit. Last bit. Last bit. Come on. Fuck yes. Come on. Fuck. Oh my god, my legs are dying. That's fucking hard.
It's fine, Sarah. Another up the hill. Proud of that girl. Oh, that's a bastard. God, my legs are wobbly. Okay,
Before we knew it, a whole summer of training had passed by. For the whole summer, literally every free moment of time has been spent either on a bike or... It's so wet and it was so warm before! or in a tent.
If we weren't on a ride, we were spending time fixing bikes and tinkering with our setup, route planning, or eating ridiculous quantities of food and rehydrating.
Now you're going to moan that you're pissing all night.
And for the whole summer, our confidence has been up and down, just like the Yorkshire Hills.
We first started training, or we first said about doing it about 3 months ago.
Wow, that's gone really quick.
And it's gone so quickly.
Yeah.
And we said before, like when we first started, I thought it'd be impossible. And then we thought it would be, when we first started, we thought it would be okay.
Yeah.
And then we thought it'd be impossible.
Yeah, once we did that first ride that was like...
Yeah. Saddle sore like you'd never believe. And then we thought it would be just like possible, but it would just be horrendous. And now, how are we feeling?
But, ready or not, the departure date had come and the real challenge was about to begin. The bikes were packed and it was time to ride for the wild. Hey!
Hey guys!
Thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of our Ride for the Wild challenge. So after a whole summer of crazy preparations,
Grueling training,
blood, sweat, tears, constant bike tinkering, route
preparation,
planning,
eating, rehydrating, packing,
all that's left is to
see whether the hills and the saddle sore get the better of us or whether we conquer 15 national parks in 2,000 miles in 30 days.
And so the video is coming out in the next few weeks and we really can't wait to show it to you.
So stay tuned for all the nitty gritty, the inside of really what it was like, what happened, what went down.
Whether these two sweaty vegans can complete their Ride for the Wild challenge. Yeah?
Yeah, stay tuned.
Catch ya.